Hi, welcome to the Legex Show, a podcast that will help you simplify the business ecosystem. Co-hosted by the co-founders of Legex, Ayush and Vishesh. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Legex Show. And today we have Mr. Anurag Kumar with us. He has been, one of the finest persons I have ever met. It has been 5 years since I have known him. And, it has been amazing. So welcome, Anurag, to our Legex Show.
Hi, Vishesh. Thanks for the privilege. And it's always good to be back home. So I've seen you guys ever since your college days. And it's really nice to see people growing up. So when we started up the startup in our college days, not many people were into this domain, at least in our college, and you would not believe people were not appreciating it too much. But today, seeing you guys coming up with things and giving us a platform to speak up is really heartening. Thank you again.
No, but honestly, it has been a real pleasure to see you, hustling through all of this. Even, we have been very much passionate by seeing you, how you have evolved over the time. We still remember the days, when we would come to you, ask some problems that, okay, this is the problem that we're facing and how we should go about it. And, it has been a pleasure.
That's always what seniors do to their juniors. So I didn't do anything different. Anyways.
So, Anurag, it would be, great if you could tell us something about your experiences so far.
So, see, Vishesh, we started up in 2015, soon after my graduation. And I built a small company that initially used to build websites for other companies. So that was the launchpad where we started this company. And then we evolved sooner. So as and when we got so much of experience from the market, we evolved and we started building our own products. So we built two of the very famous apps on Google Play Store. Both of them have like 2 million users on Google Play Store today. And we kept on hustling. So even till date, we haven't picked up any external funds and we are bootstrapping or we have been profitable. But the real challenge has always been to stay afloat in the market. We try to look at other successful ventures around. I had a lot of seniors who we always took in inspiration from and then corrected our errors. आज तक वही चल रहा है. Some time back, I moved on from my own company and went on to serve as a CTO with a startup, very promising emerging startup called Fabrento that essentially deals into furniture rentals. So there I serve as a full-time immersed CTO with the company, taking care of their tech from end to end. So that's essentially how we've evolved. Yes, Vishesh.
So Anurag, as you mentioned that you directly, as soon as you graduated, you moved on to doing this entrepreneurship stint. So is there a particular gap that you feel that you do not have a work experience, which, all the people around us praise all the time, that, first you should have some work ex and then you should venture out onto things. So has it affected you anyhow to have no experience in the field?
See, the thing is, if you, since you're already doing a venture and you would appreciate that. If somebody is running his own company, the person wears too many hats. The person takes care of the tech end. The person takes care of marketing. The person takes care of HR. The person takes care of social media portfolios, everything. The person even takes care of interviews like you do. So ultimately, if you see, the more you work on something that you've created, the more experiences you gain. Of course, you don't gain some things which are corporate lifestyles. You won't understand how the real hierarchy works in corporates because you haven't ever been exposed to this, because I'm sure startup ecosystem at least doesn't work with hierarchies. So since you haven't been to the real industry, you don't know how hierarchies work. Many a times you don't know interpersonal skills in office. So these are certain things that you would lack. But if you see weigh the pros and cons, you would see it doesn't really matter in the long run, because you would have met so many people during your own startup journey that you would have an experience equal to meeting so many people in corporates. So that actually doesn't make much sense. हाँ, पैसे नहीं कमाओगे ज़्यादा, because you always have to put in your money while you try and establish your venture.
That we roughly calculated sometime back that when you are earning 10 rupees, 3 is the maximum that you can take home.
Yeah.
So that usually happens, all around us. And when you have co-founder, this 3 is always gonna get split into more.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a nice stats that you're giving. मैंने कभी ध्यान नहीं दिया इस पे.
Anyway. So, moving on with that, as we have seen, and you also told us about that, you developed a lot of products, and, some of the products are doing well in the market. So how do you, feel yourself transiting from, a particular head of a CEO, then sometimes a CTO, then sometimes a product manager, with all this?
So see, as I told you, in a startup venture, if you make a startup venture, you would know that everything you have to take care of. Of course, you would have co-founders and a team that takes care of it, but you would know you are responsible for it because your stakes are highest in when you start up something. Therefore, you take care of the smallest things. Even if a bulb has to be fitted in the office, you would know and you would be responsible for buying the best bulb that you can at the cheapest price. So the thing is, if you, for example, if you talk of me, I served as a complete business head for T9 for like 4 years. And then I moved on to become a CTO with another company. So for me, the transition wasn't difficult. The reason being, I have been a tech person. I mean, in my core is technology. And I was just doing a lot of things in my own venture that I had built. And now what I've done is I've channelized all my skills into tech. So for me to transition from a CEO's role to a CTO, or further if I go on to become a product manager or anything, doesn't actually make sense. Because see, I mean, when you are running a startup, you are a CEO. When you go on to work with Amazon, of course, Amazon doesn't make you a CEO. You become a product manager. And therefore,
no, but I would be happy if Amazon offers that.
Of course, anybody would be.
So Anurag, sometimes back, I just went through your LinkedIn. It showed that you also did an MBA, from IIT Delhi. So, how was this transition, from a startup, then an MBA?
It was this MBA program, this kind of a unique program in IIT. And it's actually into more of tech stuff. So since I had the tech backing, I was always interested into data analytics and stuff. So the SID MBA program that IIT Delhi runs, it's into business intelligence, data analytics, and strategic innovation. So most of the things that I did there was something that I always knew. So बस यही था कि तुम्हारे पास काफी डेटा सेट्स आ जाते हैं. IIT का लैब है तुम्हारे पास, पूरा लाइब्रेरी है. Otherwise you would never have afforded to buy those data sets to do a research or R&D. But with IIT's lab, you have the data sets at your exposure. You can work
you have access to the best of the resources that exist.
Correct. And of course, see, ultimately, Vishesh, anything that happens as of now is always directed towards increasing the capacity of the venture. So अगर आप check करोगे, अगर आप थोड़ा deeply analyze करो, you would find that whatever processes, whatever MIS, whatever data is being collected in a company, it's all directed to improving the business processes, or maybe improving customer acquisition, or maybe reducing customer acquisition cost. And therefore, at all points of time, you have to be thinking scientifically. You can't think only in one dimension कि बॉस मेरे को तो मेरे मैनेजर्स डेटा ला के देंगे, बता देंगे कि ये इस प्रोडक्ट में आप पैसा लगाओ या push this product into this market. You as a business head or a technology head or a company head would never be able to do that unless you understand what that data means to you.
The manager whom you are thinking about कि वो data set ला के देगा, so you are already that person.
Yes. तो तुमको हमेशा ये खेलना होता है. And therefore this program excited me a lot. I went on to do this MBA and it was a really, सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये होती है, you get to make a lot of network. So I had people, there was a guy who has been serving as the North India head for McDonald's. उसके पास 15 साल का experience है. So the more you talk to people like these, the better understanding you get of the market. So the good part of programs like these is you always get to interact with top-notch guys of the industry, and therefore you really get on. I mean, apart from your bookish knowledge, your hands-on knowledge really improves, and that completely reflects into your work.
Oh, so Anurag, you ventured out from particular the companies that you told about to Fabrento now. So what do you think of the rental industry as of currently?
Rental market hasn't been that mature in India, but the stage has been set. So there have been companies, there have been flag bearers of rental industry operating at huge scales.
We
For
have seen
example,
recent times we have seen Zoom Car evolving, in such a great company for renting
yeah,
cars. This is
yeah,
not something that a person would have imagined 10 years back. The
totally.
same comes with a lot of industries. A lot of people want to rent things instead of just getting on their own. This started with real estate some time back, and it's just getting into all the dimensions. So,
Correct.
what do you think that lies ahead of this? What is the future of this rental industry?
So see, shared economy is something which is to stay. Shared economy has brought in a new dimension of thinking into everybody's life. So of course, there was a time when you would not even want to share a mattress. But today, companies such as Fabrento, we rent out even mattresses. So the thing is, people trust in us, and of course, we reciprocate in the same manner. We ensure that the sanitation is top notch and everything, and therefore there has been an acceptance for such kind of a thought that okay, so there is a company that can rent out a bed and a mattress, and I can use that without having to worry on anything else. Even in the times of COVID, for example, this pandemic, which is kind of nobody knows when it's going to end. When personal sanitation, personal hygiene is of topmost priority, companies like Fabrento, we have been like flag bearers of ensuring that hygiene of the products that we rent out should be the best, should be at the top notch, because here it's about the life of somebody who's going to use. And not only Fabrento. I mean, I've told you, since Fabrento is something that I live closely nowadays, I can give you an example. There's a company called Flydote, and the company is renting out costumes for your shadi seasons. So think of the scale, think of the granularity at which at which rental space is growing. So I mean, you would never have imagined like 2 years back or 5 years back that some company is going to rent out a suit for you to wear on your farewell.
To be really honest, Anurag, I still do not think that whenever I'll get married, I'll rent a suit. That is something that inherently we just really cannot accept. Maybe that will change and evolve.
Yeah. So,
but
so this is all that is changing. This is all that is changing, and you're very right to say that nobody is going. I mean, at least in Indian market, the current as of now, although the industry is growing and it's going to be something big and of great scale tomorrow. As of now, there are very few flag bearers who are operating a shared economy. Ola, Uber, they started this up. They gave rise to your Uber share and everything, but even now, not many people follow that. Not many people want to do that unless you have to travel for a very short distance. But when you see your unit economics, when you see what you're gaining out of not by buying a bed and renting out a bed, you would know that renting out is a much better option.
Yeah, with the migrating population and everything, this is surely going to be a viable option.
Correct.
So Anurag, as you have been through a lot of ventures, been through a good part of journey of your life, so there must have been a lot of failures, and these are something that no one wants to talk about. So according to you, what are your personal failures, or the failure that you consider that has impacted you really?
Okay. So Vishesh, we should not use word failure in our startup journey, because you might not succeed in achieving something. So I'll tell you, I mean, in my life, I've built like 15 to 20 apps, which I've spent like months building. And when we launched it on Google Play Store, they became flops. I mean, I remember of an app which we built for Delhi University. It was like one of the top-notch apps, and everybody was using it. But when the moment we tried to monetize it, nobody was willing to pay for it. And therefore, the app had to shut. So now the thing is, we might not have succeeded in making that app commercial. But the thing is, we learned a lot in the journey. We've learned that something of that sort would never sell in Indian market. I'm telling you, I'll give you another instance. In Fabrento, which I'm working as of now, the company has been operating for the past 4 years, and it's a child of a company called Continental Furnitures that has been in operation for the past 60 years. And but what has happened is the company hasn't become tech enabled completely yet. There are departments, there are people who would not appreciate how tech works, and therefore getting into this place, trying to induce technology at every level, learning from what people are not accepting and what people are completely against or at, is very challenging. At the same time, it also opens floodgates for possibilities. So if you
that we have also personally faced at Legex, because legal industry is also something that has not been disrupted much by technology. So we also have to tweak around things a lot of times to see what exactly fits and what doesn't.
Correct. So
if you were given an option to do everything just about again, so what is the one that will change in your journey?
I would there are a lot of things. One of the things that I would want to change is I would possibly study economics for some time, which I haven't done that. And I'll tell you, I've been facing a lot of problem doing that. It took me so long to understand what actually demand and supply is. And that would have, that's one of the things I would have wanted to study that subject. I really love reading articles on how an industry is facing a demand crisis or a supply crisis, or what actually happens in the supply chain and stuff. So in my professional, in my educational career, or you can you can say in my entire career till now of either a student or a professional, I would have wanted to kind of spend some time into studying what economics is all about. So that is something that I really, and of course, this is not something, time has not gone, but today I'm so neck deep into work that it actually is very difficult to take out some time for yourself. तो वो तो हमेशा से एक point रहता है कि I didn't, when I had time, I used to kind of miss out on stuff. और economics नहीं पढ़ पाया मैं. But whenever I get time, अगर time मिलता है कभी भी, तो I would definitely want to go back and do some bit of, core study of what economics says. And because it's totally scientific. Nothing, although you'll find economics is one of the subjects into arts, Bachelor of Arts Economics or Master of Arts Economics.
It's one of the most scientific things one could have ever created.
Yes, it's very scientific and very mathematical. तो वो दोनों चीज जब हमें समझ आती है, तो we should have. I would suggest सबको थोड़ा सा पढ़ना चाहिए. At least if you are into this journey, if you want to kind of, अगर आपको खाली software developer बनना है, तो you should not do anything of this sort. But if you really want to reach that pinnacle of success, wherein you define policies for some company, you define policies for some venture, for some idea, there you must know what economics says.
So Anurag, should we keep this at the last point and make this a particular advice for the upcoming entrepreneurs and the visionaries?
I think yes. Roots से हमेशा जुड़े रहना चाहिए. Roots is always your education. पढ़ाई लिखाई education का कोई alternative नहीं है. I don't believe in people. I don't believe in the thought that you are a college dropout or a school dropout. If somebody has been a college dropout or a school dropout, they have been greats because that was a scenario. Because if you say Elon Musk dropped out of his college, he dropped out of Harvard, and before that he did a lot of R&D and he was doing a lot of study. आज के बच्चे फैशन में college drop out करके startup खोल रहे हैं या कुछ ना कर रहे हैं. That is not going to work. Eventually you will fail because you won't have the knowledge, and therefore I would strongly suggest कि चीजों को थोड़ा पढ़ाई education के point of view से पढ़ना चाहिए. We must spend some time in studying stuffs. We must spend some time in understanding the basics and then get into these stuffs.
Yeah, that sounds obviously very scientific and very grounded in nature.
Yeah.
So it was really nice having you on this podcast, Anurag. Yeah. Apart from the 5 years of learning, I think these 20 minutes have also enriched me really well. Thanks a lot for getting on this podcast.
Thanks, Vishesh. I'll tell you one thing. I didn't prepare for this podcast because I thought this has to be spoken from the heart, and therefore these are all my opinions which I have gathered during my time till now, and I think
for people who would want to follow a similar journey should kind of take some note from this and maybe add to this value base. And you guys are doing fabulous job. So it was really nice being a part of it. And I really look forward to coming back to the podcast again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot, Anurag.
Thanks a lot, Vishesh. Okay, bye-bye.
Viewers, as Anurag also mentioned, that you got to test out 15 to 20 apps and only 2 are going to be successful, which we iterated in the last podcast, where we said that, okay, just be out there and experiment 10 things and only one of them is going to succeed. So, try to have these points and have these thoughts always in your mind that, okay, what should be there and what should not be. Welcome to the Legex Show. Hope to see you on the next show. Bye-bye.